can now listen to the Observer Live podcast in languages other than English. Here's how. First, click on the Settings tab right here. Then, look up for audio track and click on that. Then, scroll around for different languages, find the one that you want to hear everything in, and click on it. And it's that simple. Now you can listen to everything in the language of your choice on the Observer Live podcast.
Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Canessa coming to you live from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 29th day of May in the year 2026. Sure hope you're enjoying your Fridays today, no matter where it is you are in the country. I have got a couple of things that I need to get to today, and so I wanted to join you on a Friday. Not something we do very often here at the Observer Live, but I do want to go over a couple of things with you, including an update to a story that I am so happy to be able to share with you right now. A couple of minutes ago, I heard from Lyndhurst Police Deputy Chief Paul Haggerty, who let us know that Bill Hooper, who we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, has been found. Thank goodness. He not only has been found, he is also in good health. He was in South Jersey, about 16 miles outside of Philadelphia, when he was found, and Deputy Chief Haggerty tells us that right now, as we speak, his family is en route to South Jersey to reunite with Bill. I found out some things about Bill that I did not know, and apparently he is pretty well known on TikTok for creating content, and I didn't realize this at any point during the time that he was missing, but I was going to bring it to your attention today when we were going to just do an update that he hadn't been found, but thank God now he has been found. But apparently he has quite a following on TikTok, in the 20,000s of followers on TikTok. But the good news is that since May 21st he was missing, but he has been found in South Jersey. He is in good health, and he is being taken care of as we speak. And we are so happy for his mom and dad, who have had to have been in just an inordinate amount of agony over the last couple of days, wondering where he was. You know, there was a photograph taken from a train in Penn Station in Manhattan, and it turns out he was 95 miles or so away from Manhattan during all of this time that he was missing. But the good news is that Bill Hooper is found. He is in South Jersey, and he is being taken care of right now. So at least we finally have some good news to share about Bill, and we hope his family is beyond the moon right now, because they certainly deserve the relief that they are getting. I want to welcome in Lori Bradow, who is here with us today. Hello, Lori. It was nice seeing you last night at the PTA meeting. And I, of course, forgot to put the picture up, but there is a new president and executive board of the Kearney High School PTA, with Jenny Paz taking over as its president after many, many years of leadership from Ann Rodriguez. Jenny will take over the presidency now, and Ann is now the treasurer. Tanny Paz is the secretary to the organization, and of course I can't recall the name of the vice president, but it's a great new executive board, and I want to congratulate Ann on her incredible service to the PTA. If you don't know Ann Rodriguez, you should. I think most people do, though, because she's been involved with the PTA and also Project Graduation for many, many years. She is the wife of 2nd Ward Councilman Joe Rodriguez, Jose Rodriguez, and they have dedicated so much of their time, talent, and treasure to the schools of Kearney. Has Ann, and she's just a wonderful human being. And Jenny Paz is here. Rodney Smiley is the vice president. Thank you, Jenny, for reminding me that. Rodney is the vice president of the organization now, and I should have remembered that name. Smiley is so easy to remember, but I apologize, and thank Jenny for letting us know. The capable hands of Jenny Paz now to handle taking over the Kearney High School PTA. She is going to do a phenomenal job as the president of this board. She already has done great work with the kids of Kearney, and I know she's going to do a kick-ass job as the president of the PTA. Lori reminds me the new officers take office July the 1st. Thank you very much, Jenny, and thank you as well to Lori. It's going to be a good year, no question about it, with them meeting. Now, speaking of Jenny, this is another reminder. The Project Graduation 50/50 is still in effect, and it won't be drawn until June 18th. So you still have time to get your 50/50 tickets for the Project Graduation 50/50. They're $5 a piece, and you have an opportunity to win some significant money. So if you are so inclined to buy a ticket, you can get them several ways: by Zelling, Venmoing, or Cash Apping the money by scanning the QR codes that you see right here on the screen. You can also buy tickets at the American Legion on Belgrove Drive, the Elks on Elm Street, the Soccer Post on Kearney Avenue, or if in your travels you happen to bump into Melanie Ryan, Jenny Paz, or the aforementioned Ann Rodriguez, they will be able to sell you tickets using cash. Not everybody likes to use those cash sending apps, so if you're one of those people, get in touch with Melanie, Jenny, or Ann, and you can pay the cash for that. But you want to have an opportunity to support an event that is $50,000 to put together. It's very important for that. So Lisa just handed me this soccer hat. Football hat. Well, I gotta be careful. You can't call it, like we said yesterday, you cannot call it the World Cup. But thank you very much for that. I'll wear it.
It's from Pat.
Pat Long just left that for us. Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much, Pat. I should wear it right now, but I have something serious that I have to talk about in a minute, and I'll look like an idiot if I wore the hat. But I'll wear it on Tuesday when I do my broadcast the next time. So get those 50/50 tickets as soon as you can. Now, I want to talk about something a little bit on the serious side. And as you know, we are coming up to an election here in Kearney. It is on June the 2nd. It's a primary election that pits two opposing Democratic teams against each other. And I ran for office. Not everybody knows this, but back in 1998, I ran for councilman in the 2nd Ward. I lived in the 2nd Ward at the time. And I was a registered Republican back then. I know most people will probably laugh hearing that because I'm the furthest from a Republican now in my personal life. But in 1998, I ran for 2nd Ward councilman as a Republican. And when I did so, my opponent at the time was none other than Al Santos, who was for the first time running for office himself. In a primary election that year, Al ran against a late councilman whose name is Manny Truba. Manny's no longer with us, obviously. And Al beat Manny in the primary. I beat somebody who was called Bill Salmon in 1998 in the Republican primary, and then we faced off against each other. And when you look at the elections of 2023, 2024, 2025, and now in 2026, and go back to the way elections were in the late 90s, I can attest to this, that these elections now are nothing in comparison to the way they were run in the late 90s. In fact, there were some extremely nasty moments in those elections. One that brought two candidates from the 2nd Ward and two of our closest advisors to a jail cell at Kearney Police Headquarters on the morning of the election because there was a lot of things that were going on from each of our campaigns. We were both guilty for basically causing a ruckus in 1998, the night before the election. And so we wound up being called down to the police station because at like 2 o'clock in the morning, we were out in the streets and we were having arguments and waking people up it was so loud that the police got to the scene and we all wound up going down, and then we worked out our differences that day. But there was always an incredible and deep rivalry between me and the former mayor who was running to be councilman. He beat me, obviously, by 450 votes. He kicked the crap out of me in that election. But there were a lot of hard feelings that lasted for a long time, but we eventually got past it. And that also included the likes of former Mayor Leo Vartan and now current Councilman Fred Esteves. And Fred and I consider Fred a very good friend now. I really do. And it's funny how politics works, like I'm not involved anymore, but it gets very, very hairy over reasons that just don't make sense. But when I ran in 1998, and when most candidates ran in the past, it was done above board. We have all done things, I'm sure, as candidates looking back, that you say, I probably would have done something a little bit differently than I did in this election or that election. But something I saw on social media really piqued my interest a couple of days ago. This appeared in another newspaper just a couple of days ago. This that you see here is an advertisement for 4 candidates who are running in the first, second, third, and fourth wards of Kearney. And you will notice that in that advertisement is the former mayor and current judge of the Superior Court of New Jersey, former Mayor Al Santos. Now, that picture, which includes Councilman Theodoropoulos in the ad, was taken in January 2020. I think it's 2023, not 2024, that picture was taken. So I stand corrected on that. But that picture was used in an ad almost to make it appear as if it were an endorsement. I know he's swearing in Councilman Theodoropoulos there, but the truth of the matter is, when you see somebody in a campaign ad, no matter who it is basically an endorsement. And if you know anything about law, and if you know anything about judicial ethics, you know that judges of any kind are not permitted to do any kind of politicking whatsoever. In fact, I'm going to show you what the judge's policy is about this right here. This comes directly from the New Jersey Judiciary's judge's policy on political activities, and it states, employees, meaning the judges, are not permitted to participate in any partisan political activities. This includes, but is not limited to, attending political functions, displaying political stickers on your car or political signs in front of your home, or voicing your political views on Facebook. I'm sure that is included, that can be expanded to other social media platforms, since there are so many more now, not just Facebook. This canon is in place to ensure that the judiciary maintains its independence from political influence. Now, some people might say, how is this photo political? And my response to that would be, how is it not political? This is a sitting judge in an advertisement in a political ad in the middle of a campaign. If that's not political, I don't know what is. I truly, truly don't. And I know what's going to happen. They're going to say, well, we didn't know that the former mayor's picture was going to show up in an ad. And I can assure you right now, with almost 100% certainty, that nothing that these 4 candidates do is done without Al Santos's blessing. So he can say all he wants that he didn't know this was going to happen. But there is no way younger candidates would ever use his image and likeness without permission. It's just the way things work. When you have a team, you make those decisions conscientiously in consultation with your advisors. And if there's any doubt whether Al is being an advisor to this group of candidates. It's in the simple reality that after the council meeting on Tuesday, he was at the Arlington Diner with them, right after the council meeting. And so I bring this to your attention because we are just a couple of days away from the election, and this is just, there's something about this that doesn't sit well. I know Al and I have had our issues in the past, and we've gotten past them, thank God. But there's something about this that just doesn't sit right and that needed to be brought to your attention a couple of days out of the election, because I would say that their strategy was to put this out the week before the election so there would be no rebuttal. But that's not how it works anymore. You don't just go with print. There's so many other ways. And you know what's even more interesting, too, is that there's been a lot of discussion about how Councilman Fred Esteves is in lockstep with this group. And I can tell you, I spoke with the councilman the other day. He is not in lock and step with this group at all. In fact, it's an unfortunate situation. It really is, but Councilman Esteves is the brother-in-law of the mayor, the former mayor. And they don't even talk anymore. In fact, I'm not even sure if you asked either one of the gentlemen, is Fred your family or is Al your family, that either one of them would say, yeah, we're still family members. There's been a deep, deep falling out between the families. It's sad. It really is, over politics. But I think for anybody also to take it a step further and say that Councilman Esteves is in lock and step with this group here is a disingenuous lie, because he is not. And I think it's important for voters to know that as we head into the election. Now, I'll tell you what, shenanigans happen all the time in the election. And I mentioned that earlier because I was responsible for some. I really was. But don't we see enough of this? Don't we see enough of shenanigans in national politics, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, no matter what? And then to see it on a local basis like this, it's just so disappointing. It really is that it happens. So just a couple of days out from the election, I wanted to bring it to your attention. It stuck out like a sore thumb to me, and that's where we stand, just a few days away from the June 2nd primary. So make your choice on June 2nd accordingly. Speaking of early voting, it is underway, and if you want to get voting out of the way for you and your family, you can go over to Town Hall in Kearney, and tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and then Sunday from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. at Kearney Town Hall. I did not know this when I created this graphic earlier in the week, but it appears that Harrison also has early voting. So if you happen to be in that neck of the woods, you can vote there too as a resident of Hudson County. You don't have to be a resident of Kearney or Harrison to vote in the opposite ones. You can go to either one if you're closer to one than the other. So if you want to get that voting out of the way, head on over to Kearney Town Hall or Harrison Town Hall and you can vote. And then polls are open from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Tuesday, June 2nd. All right, that's it. I want to thank every one of you for joining us. I'm going to look in the chat room and see. I wasn't paying attention to the chat room. Lori Brado, who I mentioned before, and Jenny Henry Atwell is here with us. Larry Hanlon is also here with us. It is good to see all of you and anybody who may be watching in the background. I want to thank you for joining us. We will be back on Tuesday, and we will certainly have a recap of whatever happens in the election on Tuesday night. We'll get to the information as soon as we can, but usually the results first pour in at 8 o'clock, and then we will get to the final election results at around 9 o'clock. So tune in on Tuesday night as well. From the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com, it's Kevin Canessa signing off for now, and we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.